Welcome to my channel. Do you feel nervous when you try to speak English? You know the words in your head, but when it's time to speak, nothing comes out? Or maybe you do speak, but you feel slow, not confident. You worry about grammar, or making a mistake, or people not understanding you. You're not alone. A lot of English learners feel the same way. Maybe you've been learning English for years. You went to school, you did your homework, you watched movies in English, but still, speaking is hard. Why? It's not your fault. Most English classes don't teach you how to speak in real situations. They teach you grammar rules and vocabulary lists, but not how to have a real conversation. And that's the problem. But don't worry. Today, I'm going to tell you how to learn English speaking easily, even if you're a complete beginner. You don't need to move to an English speaking country. You don't need to spend a lot of money. And you don't need to be perfect. You just need the right method, a little time every day, and the courage to try. In this video, I'll share 4 simple but powerful chapters that will help you speak English faster, better, and more naturally. These are not tricks. These are real methods I've used with students for over 25 years, students just like you. And the best part? You can start today, from home with what you already have. So stay with me until the end, because the last chapter brings everything together and gives you a daily routine you can follow right away. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Listening is your first teacher. Let me ask you something. When you were a baby, did you start speaking first? Of course not. You listened. You listened to your parents, your family, the people around you. You didn't understand everything they said, but still, you listened. For many months, you didn't say a word, but inside your brain, something amazing was happening. You were learning how your language works just by listening. The same thing happens with English. If you want to speak English easily, you must first train your ears. Speaking starts with listening. Listening is your first teacher, but not just any kind of listening. You need to listen to real English every day and in the right way. Most learners make a big mistake. They think they must understand every word. So when they listen and don't understand something, they stop. They feel like they're failing. But this is not true. You don't need to understand every word. When you were a baby, you didn't understand every word either. And still, you learned. That's because the brain learns language from meaning, not from perfect understanding. So, what should you do? First, choose listening materials that are not too difficult. If everything is hard, your brain gets tired and stops learning. But if it's a little easy and a little hard, that's perfect. I tell my students to use simple English podcasts, slow YouTube videos, or short stories with audio. You can even use children's books or shows. These are made to teach language clearly and naturally. Now, how do you listen the right way? First, repeat. Don't just listen once. Listen again and again. The first time, just enjoy. The second time, try to understand more. The third time, maybe read the subtitles if you have them. Repetition helps your brain notice patterns, words, grammar, and pronunciation without effort. Second, shadowing. This is a very powerful method. You listen to a sentence and then repeat it right after the speaker like an echo. You copy the speed, the intonation, the rhythm. It's not about saying it perfectly. It's about training your mouth and ears to work together. This is how actors learn accents. It's also how babies learn to speak. You can do this with just 1 minute of audio. For example, a short clip from a podcast or show. Play one sentence, pause, say it out loud, then do the next sentence. After a few times, you'll feel more confident. Your speaking becomes faster and smoother because you've trained your brain to connect sound with meaning. Third, focused listening. Most people listen in the background while cooking, while walking, while doing something else. That's okay. But real learning happens when you focus. Sit down with your earphones. No phone, no distractions. Just listen. Give your brain the chance to absorb the language fully. And here's a little trick I give my students. Write down the words you hear. Not every word, just the ones you recognize. After listening, look them up and check if you heard them correctly. This small habit helps improve both listening and vocabulary. Now, let's talk about time. Many people think they need to study for hours. That's not true. Just 15-20 minutes of good listening every day is better than 2 hours once a week. Language learning is about consistency, not big effort. Like brushing your teeth. You don't do it for 1 hour on Sunday. You do it for 2 minutes every day. Same with listening. Let me give you a real example. One of my students, a taxi driver from Brazil, could not speak English well. He was shy and made mistakes. He didn't have time to study, but I told him, listen every day in your car while waiting for customers. He listened to simple podcasts, the same episodes many times. After 2 months, something changed. He started understanding more. After 3 months, he started speaking more confidently to tourists. He said, I didn't study, I just listened. That's the power of listening. So remember, listening is not passive. It's not something you do only to relax. It's a tool, a very powerful one. The more you listen, the more you absorb the language. And slowly, your brain starts to speak. Not with perfect grammar at first, but with real living English. You don't need to be in a classroom. You don't need a teacher. You already have everything you need: your ears, your voice, and time. Start today. Choose one short audio. Listen to it 3 times. Shadow it. Write a few words you heard and do it again tomorrow. Your English will not change in one day, but if you listen every day, in a few weeks, you will feel it. You will understand more. You will speak more. And most important, you will feel more confident. So, now you know. Listening is not just important, it's your first teacher. And like every good teacher, it speaks to you every day if you're ready to listen. Let's move to chapter 2, where I'll show you why you should stop studying speaking and start practicing it instead. Chapter 2, don't study speaking, practice it. One of the biggest mistakes I see English learners make is this. They spend years studying English, but they never really use it. They memorize grammar rules. They make long lists of vocabulary. They read textbooks. They even watch English videos. But when it's time to speak, they freeze. Their mind goes blank. The words are in their head, but they can't get them out. Why does this happen? Because studying is not the same as practicing. Watching and reading are passive. Speaking is active. You cannot learn to swim by reading about swimming. You cannot learn to ride a bicycle by watching someone else. You have to jump in and try, and you have to do it again and again. Speaking English is the same. So today, I want to tell you something important. You don't need perfect grammar to speak. You don't need a big vocabulary. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. What you need is courage and daily practice, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. Let me tell you a story. One of my students, Amina from Egypt, used to score high on English tests. She was great at grammar. She knew lots of words, but she almost never spoke. She told me, I'm afraid I'll make a mistake. I said, you will. Everyone makes mistakes. That's how we learn. I gave her one small task. Talk to herself in English for 2 minutes every day. At first, She felt silly. She said, "What do I say?" I told her, "Say anything. Talk about your day, your plans, your breakfast, complain about the weather. It doesn't matter." After 1 week, her sentences became longer. After 1 month, she was speaking with more confidence. No teacher, no pressure, just simple practice. You can do this too. Start by talking to yourself. It sounds strange, but it works. In the morning, look in the mirror and say, "Good morning. I'm going to the store today." In the evening, talk about your day. "Today I worked. I was tired, but I cooked something nice." If you don't know a word, skip it or use a different word. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to use English every day. Next, use voice recording apps. Most phones have one. Record yourself speaking for 1 minute. Listen to it later. Don't be shy. This helps you hear your mistakes, but also see your progress. You'll notice your voice becoming more fluent, more natural. You can also repeat your recordings and try to improve them each time. Now, let's talk about speaking with others. You don't need to travel or pay for expensive classes. There are many free language exchange apps. Some popular ones are Tandem, HelloTalk, or Speaky. You can talk to real people who are learning your language and want to practice English with you. It's a win-win. When you speak with someone, don't worry about mistakes. Native speakers will not laugh at you. In fact, most of them are happy to help. And if they are learning your language too, they understand how difficult it is. Be brave. Say something, even if it's simple. Another great trick is to create speaking rituals. That means small speaking habits you do every day. For example, say 5 sentences out loud every morning before breakfast. Describe what you're doing while you're doing it. I am making coffee. I am washing the dishes. Repeat one English sentence 10 times to practice pronunciation. Call a friend or join an English group online once a week. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be daily. Remember, speaking is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it becomes weak. But if you use it every day, it becomes strong. Even if you only say a few sentences a day, it adds up. In 1 week, that's dozens of sentences. In 1 month, you've spoken hundreds. And that's how real progress happens. Let me give you another real story. Daniel from Mexico never studied English in school. He worked in a factory and listened to English music. One day, he decided to say one sentence out loud every time he heard a new phrase in a song. Just one sentence. After 6 months, he could speak in full conversations. His grammar wasn't perfect, but people understood him. Why? Because he practiced, not just studied. So here's your homework. Today, say one thing in English out loud. It can be anything. I like pizza. It's raining. I have a meeting. Just one sentence. Tomorrow, say two. Keep going. Speak when you're alone. Speak when you walk. Speak to your cat or your dog. Speak into your phone. Speak when nobody is listening. This is how you become a speaker, not by studying rules, not by being perfect, but by practicing every single day. In the next chapter, we'll talk about something that makes speaking much easier, learning phrases, not individual words. This will help you sound more natural and fluent without thinking too much. Let's move on. Chapter 3, Learn Phrases, not Words. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever learned a new English word and then forgotten it the next day? Or maybe you know the word, but when you try to use it in conversation, it just doesn't come out? That's because learning words by themselves is not enough. If you want to speak English more easily and naturally, you need to stop learning single words and start learning phrases. This is one of the most important lessons I teach my students. And when they understand it, everything starts to change. They begin to speak faster. They stop thinking so much, and they sound more like real English speakers. Let me explain why. When you learn a new word, let's say the word book, you might remember it. But how do you actually use it in a real sentence? Do you say book, read? Do you pause, trying to remember the grammar? This takes time and energy. And in a real conversation, that's a problem. But imagine you learn a full phrase like, I'm reading a book right now, or have you read this book before? Now, you don't just know the word book, you know how to use it. You know the natural sentence that a native speaker would say. And when you hear that phrase again, it feels familiar. That's the secret. You're not just learning words, you're learning chunks of language. And that's how real people speak. Think about your own language. You don't build every sentence word by word. You use expressions, common phrases, and ready made sentences. English works the same way. So, what are some useful phrases you should learn? Start with the ones you can use every day. I'm not sure. Let me think. Could you say that again? What do you mean? That's a good question. I've never thought about that. These short phrases are used in almost every conversation. And once you know them, you don't have to think so hard when you speak. You just say them naturally. That's why I tell my students, you don't need 10,000 words. You need 500 good phrases that you can actually use. Now, how do you learn these phrases? First, start a phrase bank. This is a notebook, a file on your phone, or even sticky notes on your wall. Every time you hear a useful phrase in a movie, a podcast, or a YouTube video, write it down. But don't just write the phrase. Write the full sentence. For example, don't just write excited. Write, I'm really excited about this movie. Don't just write meeting. Write, I have a meeting at 3 o'clock. This helps your brain remember not just the word, but the structure, the grammar, and the pronunciation all together. Next, practice the phrases out loud. Say them in front of the mirror. Say them while cooking. Say them while walking. Say them until they feel natural. You can even record your voice and listen to it. The more you use a phrase, the more automatic it becomes. And here's a trick that many learners don't know. You don't have to learn new phrases every day. It's better to use the same ones many times. Repetition is your friend. For example, take just 5 phrases. Use them every day for a week. At the end of the week, they will be part of your active vocabulary. You can use them without thinking. Let me give you an example from one of my students. Her name is Ayaka from Japan. She used to memorize vocabulary lists every day. 30 new words, 40 new words. But when she tried to speak, she got stuck. I asked her, how many phrases do you know, well phrases you can use right now? She said, maybe 10. We changed her strategy. No more word lists. Instead, she started collecting phrases from her favorite TV shows and writing them in a notebook. She reviewed 10 phrases every week. She said them out loud every morning. After 2 months, she had a phrase bank of 80 real useful sentences, and her speaking improved a lot. Not because she knew more words, but because she could use more language. So remember this. Native speakers don't think about grammar when they speak. They use phrases they've heard 1,000 times. You can do the same. Here are a few more powerful everyday phrases you can add to your list. It depends. I didn't catch that. That sounds interesting. I'm not really into that. Let's take a break. I see what you mean. Can you help me with this? Now imagine, if you learn just 5 new phrases every week, in 1 year, you would know over 250 phrases, real phrases you can use in real life. So today, I want you to do one simple thing. Start your phrase bank. Write down 3 useful English phrases. Practice them out loud. Try to use them during the day. And tomorrow, add one more. That's it. Simple, right? You don't need to speak perfectly. You just need to speak naturally. And that starts with learning phrases, not just words. In the next chapter, we'll bring everything together and I'll show you how to make English part of your daily life so it becomes easier, more fun, and something you actually look forward to. Let's continue. Chapter 4. Make English part of your life. Now we bring everything together. In the last chapters, we talked about the power of listening, the importance of daily speaking, and why learning phrases is more helpful than learning single words. But now it's time to take the biggest step of all. Stop treating English like a school subject and start making it part of your life. Let me explain what I mean. When you were in school, you probably studied English with textbooks. You answered questions, filled in blanks, and memorized grammar rules. Maybe you passed exams. Maybe you didn't. But here's the truth. Most people forget what they learn in school because it doesn't connect to their real life. It's just information. It's not alive. But language is not just information. Language is communication. It's emotion. It's stories. It's daily life. And the people who really learn to speak English well, they don't treat English like homework. They treat English like a part of their world, just like their phone, just like music, just like talking to a friend. And the good news is, you don't need to make big changes. You don't need to move to another country or study for hours. You just need to take small, smart steps. And if you do them every day, English will slowly become part of who you are. Let's look at how. First, change the language of your phone to English. Yes, your phone. You use it every day, maybe hundreds of times. So why not let it teach you? You already know what most buttons do. Settings, camera, messages. You've seen these words before. Now you'll see them in English. It's a simple change, but over time, it builds vocabulary without effort. Next, talk to yourself in English while doing everyday tasks. For example, when you're cooking, say what you're doing. I'm cutting the onions. I'm boiling water. I'm making tea. When you clean your room, say, I need to move the table. I'm picking up my clothes. It might feel strange at first, but this is how you connect English to your real life. Another powerful habit is to think in English. You don't need to say every word out loud. Just try to have short thoughts in English. For example, when you see the sun, think, it's a beautiful day. When you're late, think, oh no, I'm late again. These are small thoughts, but they build the habit of using English inside your mind. Some learners even say they begin to dream in English after a while. This doesn't happen on the first day, but when you live with English, when it becomes part of your daily routine, your brain starts to use it automatically, even when you're sleeping. And when that happens, you know you're really improving. Let me tell you a story. One of my students, Raj, was always busy. He worked full time and had a family. He didn't have time for English classes, but he made a decision. Every day he would do one small thing in English. He changed his phone to English. He watched one YouTube video in English during lunch. He spoke to himself while driving. He started reading short articles about cricket, which he loved, in English. Slowly, English stopped being a subject and became part of his world. After 6 months, he was speaking confidently, not perfectly, but clearly. And he told me something I'll never forget. Now, English is just something I do, like brushing my teeth. That's the goal. You want to make English so normal, so natural, that it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like part of your life. Here are a few simple ways to start. Listen to English music you enjoy. Don't worry if you don't understand every word. Just feel the rhythm of the language. Watch short videos on topics you love sports, cooking, travel, whatever you like. Follow English speaking creators online. Their posts and videos will help you pick up real, modern English. Write short messages or notes in English. A journal, a to do list, a message to yourself in the mirror. Teach someone else. Even if you're a beginner, you can explain one phrase to a friend. Teaching helps you remember. You see, when English becomes part of your routine, your environment, your habits, it gets easier. You don't need to study so much. Your brain learns naturally, just like a child learns by living. And the best part? You will feel more confident. You'll stop asking, "Am I good at English?" and start saying, "English is just part of my life now." So here's my message to you. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until your grammar is perfect or your vocabulary is big. Start now. Make one small change today. Say one thing in English. Watch one short video. Write one simple sentence, just one, and do it again tomorrow. In 1 week, you'll feel the difference. In 1 month, you'll hear the difference. And in 6 months, people will notice the difference. Because you didn't just study English, you started living with English. And that's the secret. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it. It really helps more learners like you find this content. And share it with a friend who's also learning English. Maybe you know someone who's shy to speak or who always says, "I understand, but I can't speak." This video might be just what they need. And if you want more simple, real advice for learning English the easy way, subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications. I post videos like this every week. No difficult grammar, no confusing lessons, just clear, useful tips to help you speak better, faster, and with more confidence. Now, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What is the biggest problem you face when speaking English? Is it fear? Is it vocabulary? Is it grammar? Or maybe you just don't know where to start. Tell me your story. I read every comment, and your experience can help others too. Let's learn together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.